That's what Matt Gaetz is actually calling out. And I couldn't believe that I was getting enthusiastic. It was like, oh my God, wouldn't that be? It's great to see someone in power standing on the floor of Congress.
No, you do not need to give it to Matt Gaetz ever, for anything. Matt Gaetz, like, disgusting, deplorable human being. Like, just to have a categorically disgusting human being. At no point are you like, okay, now at this point, it's nice to see, you know, an alleged child rapist, human trafficker, standing up for values and beliefs.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. I'm Aaron Mate, guest host.
Wait, Jimmy Dore got Aaron Mate to do a Jimmy Dore was right segment? Oh, chef's kiss.
Hosting for Jimmy, but guess what? We got the man himself in studio today. Jimmy, how you doing?
Oh my God! Hold on. So, my apologies. I'm still a little under the weather. If I had scripted a Jimmy Dore is clown shoes whole skit, this is probably a direction I may have gone like towards, as in like, okay, so Force the Vote was based apparently, and Jimmy was right all along. Let's do a segment. Well, it would be a little, I don't know, presumptuous, too much hubris, if you will, if Jimmy Dore himself hosted that segment, being like, I was right. So why don't we get Aaron Mate to do it? But then, because Jimmy Dore obviously can't help himself, why don't we get him in? Like, bring him in. Whatever way we can do that. It may look absolutely ridiculous. This screenshot is just like, this is the epitome of Jimmy Dore right here. And Aaron Mate, actually, simultaneously. Wow.
Oh, it's been a great vacation. I didn't time this well. I didn't know that the big story that involved me would be happening right now. But here we go. Let's do it.
You're like Carlito, you know, like just when you thought you're out, they pulled you back in.
That's right. They bring me back in.
Well, this was an amazing story to do with you today. We couldn't do without you. This is what's going on right now in Congress, where Kevin McCarthy is being denied the House speakership as we're recording this. Because a group of House Republicans are using their leverage. They are trying to extract concessions from Kevin McCarthy, which is exactly what Jimmy was advocating back during Force the Vote. So here is one of the latest tallies. McCarthy appears not to have the votes, and he's because a group of Republicans are demanding concessions from him. They want, for example, the right to be able to vote out the speaker. They want the right for bills to be publicly posted at least 72 hours before they're voted on. They want the bills to only focus on one issue instead of a bunch of bills being crammed into a bunch of issues being crammed into one bill. And they also want to do things like that progressives don't agree with, such as cutting food stamps. But the point is they're using their leverage, which progressives refuse to do. So here's a headline.
Yeah, there's a handful of things they've asked for, and it's been publicly acknowledged that they both asked for those things, and then they just suddenly didn't follow through. That part of it. So this is more chaos energy than anything else, and to take a win on this one is so fucking clown shoes. Like Force the Vote, and I have to be very clear about this, was for nothing. For absolutely nothing. Like, you don't even get that the Force the Vote proposal would have been that they would have enacted communism. So Force the Vote was basically like, if you do this and prevent Nancy Pelosi, you hold her feet to the fire and the rest of the Democrats, and then you use your soft power, and in exchange you get a communism. That's a thing that will happen. Instead, it was like, so we're going to do this whole thing, or propose it anyway, and the best possible scenario and or outcome would have been a ceremonial vote, in which a ceremonial vote doesn't matter in terms of learning anything about someone's political positions, because again, it doesn't matter. That's why it's clown shoes. That's why it's deeply embarrassing. That's why a lot of people were like, oh, well, I understand the idea of soft power. Guess what? Jimmy Dore didn't invent that. Jimmy Dore didn't invent soft power. He's not the first person to think of this concept. I know, astonishing. In addition to that, people like Sam Cedar, for example, who's now apparently been the target du jour by all of these fucking like jokes of political activists. he himself is not against the concept of utilizing soft power. The question always was, what are you using it for? What are you leveraging your soft power in exchange for? If the whole idea is that you just don't want government, or you don't want the whole thing to exist because no speaker of the house means no government in the epic anarchy kind of shit, that's not what's going to happen. Like, you get something in exchange for something, sure. What is the something you want? What are you after? If the whole thing from the get-go is a ceremonial vote, yeah, it's lint, it's dust, it's so worthless. Cool. Everyone, as they are right now globally, a Canadian here watching America, laughing my ass off, everyone laughing at the clown shoes that is going down right now, and the absolute dumpster fire that is this entire process, and everyone's bringing up old-timey shit. It's like, we have not seen this in 100 years. It's been a long time since anything this silly had happened before. You would have done all that, but well, I guess it is kind of similar, because in this case it's also for nothing. it's just to further Matt Gaetz' career. That's the only winner out of all of this. Seems to be people who are turning themselves into a spectacle, aka Matt Gaetz. Like, Matt Gaetz gets to come out all the time and be like, hey everybody, look at me, I believe in nothing, I'm an alleged pedophile, I'm an alleged child rapist, human trafficker, look at what I do. I say I want one thing, and then the person promises that, and I do nothing about that. I care of nothing. Awesome.
CNN.
Epic.
House adjourns after chaotic day without electing a speaker as McCarthy fails to lock down votes. McCarthy faces a small but determined contingent of hardline conservatives who are intent on denying him the votes to secure the gavel. The top House Republican has defiantly vowed to stay in the race as he continues his increasingly imperiled bid for speaker. But the longer the fight drags on, the more uncertainty there is.
Here's a question I have for anyone who still thinks this bullshit is valid. If they force a vote, Hakeem Jeffries would have voted for him, Medicare for all. Does that matter? Would have pretended that Jeffrey was in favor of that? Like, it just feels so juvenile. Honestly, it feels like one of those things like, now is our moment. We must do this. You will do a socialism. We unlock socialism, or the whole thing burns. It's socialism or nothing right now. And it's like, progressives, lefties, a bunch of people, even liberals, and like I would say the majority of Americans want some form of public health care. That it's not an unpopular concept. They want it. The goal or the pathway forward to achieving that is not by holding government hostage, in this case and scenario, for nothing. Like, if you had gotten the votes, and maybe you had in the House, everyone who did this, and even the force the vote advocates, knew it was DOA in the Senate. Like, this will never pass in the Senate, even if we have a let's vote on Medicare for all bill right now. So it's kind of like, well, yeah, well, we know that the Republicans will shut this down as soon as it enters the floor, because you can't do this without the proper amount of numbers. But even then, it would be nice to know. I just mean it would be cute. To find out who believes in it, you know, not at all different from maybe asking people what they thought on this when there's absolutely no stakes and people may or may not decide, hey, I'm going to vote or not vote on something because it doesn't matter, because it won't actually have a material change in how this works out. But
over whether he can win. The last time an election for speaker went to multiple ballots was in 1923.
It's
and
so
let's
weird
go
y'all are doing
to
a
Matt
victory
Gaetz,
lap
who was
about
among
this.
those leading the charge against.
Like, the dude is an alleged fucking child rapist, and like, I don't get why there are sections of you know, the left who are still like, well, this is the only anti-war individual. This is the only person who's willing to actually enact real change. The dude's a fucking narcissist grifter. He's doing what he's doing for Matt Gaetz. He's a disgusting, deplorable individual. I don't have to, like, I never thought I would have to say this out loud, but you, in fact, do not have to give it up to Matt Gaetz. You don't. I'm going to give everyone permission here. Like, just broadly speaking, you do not, in fact, have to ever give it up to Matt Gaetz. Doesn't matter what he does.
Kevin McCarthy, and this is what he said on the House floor.
They support Scott Ritter. Well, yeah, that too.
Maybe the right person for the job of Speaker of the House.
Winston, that's a great point. Scott Ritter's the same thing. Like, Scott Ritter blocked me when I started pointing out to everybody. There are other anti-war advocates that you can listen to and promote and platform that aren't also pedophiles. Like if the person is a pedophile and observably, objectively, like there's no way to dispute this person is a pedophile, you can take that opinion from someone else. There's another person out there who will probably have similar anti-war sentiments and or was an insider and can speak to things that were going on behind the scenes that also doesn't want to fuck kids. You know, we can do this. We don't have to platform the kid fuckers and bring them on the shows and have them in the corner of the screen and be like, oh, so the Iraq war was bad, right? Yes, the Iraq war was bad. Both of them. They were both bad. U.S. imperialism is bad. I agree. Yes, really, really cool to hear this from someone of your esteem.
Isn't someone who wants it so bad. Maybe the right person for the job of Speaker of the House isn't someone who has sold shares of themselves for more than a decade to get it. Maybe Jim Jordan.
Holy shit, are you fawning? Right? Do I see fawning before me? Is that what's happening right now? Are you like, oh, fucking epic. Hell yeah. Yeah. Nancy Pelosi is certainly a bad person. Cool. Good to hear it from you, of all people, Matt Gaetz.
Jordan is the right person for Speaker of the House because he is not beholden to the lobbyists and special interests who have...
Yo, Aaron Matei is fawning so hard right now. Look at this. This is like based. Yes. Finally someone had the courage to say it.
Corrupted this place and corrupted this nation under the leadership of both Republicans and Democrats.
Now, can I just say, first of all, it's good to see Matt Gaetz is going to Jackson Hinkle's barber. Secondly,
I'm sorry. This is such a weird moment on the internet right now. And for anyone who is not terminally online, you might not appreciate the levels of strange that are going on here. But I'm going to try and help you out. We are watching a video of Jimmy Dore on the Jimmy Dore show as a guest. Jimmy Dore as a guest on the Jimmy Dore show. Again, to speak about how Jimmy Dore was right about force the vote all along, while the two of them are fawning over an alleged child rapist. That's the scene. And using it as a moment, like, oh, this is a point we're gonna pop off right here to fucking rip into Jackson Hinkle, a colleague. That, oh wow.
secondly, that's exactly the kind of stuff that we expected AOC and the squad to be saying and calling out. That's because that's what Bernie Sanders did on the campaign trail in 2016. He was calling out the corruption in the Democratic Party, which is the real reason why we can't have nice things. We always know there's going to be a right-wing party, but there isn't a left-wing party. And that's what to see him do that, I was imagining if he was a Democrat doing that about Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden, and I got a tingle. And I can imagine how right-wingers feel watching these people do this, which is why they're standing up and they're not going to cave. That's what it seems like, they're not going to cave, but they haven't today.
I mean, can you imagine a member of the squad getting up in the House and calling both parties corrupt? Basically pointing out that they're a uniparty. They would never do that, ever.
Bernie Sanders has done that his entire career. Like that Bernie Sanders has never stopped doing like that. Have you listened to Bernie Sanders once? Have you listened to him speak? Have you listened to him speak about, I don't know, capitalism, the corruption of politics via money, that kind of shit? He has been very on point historically, too. It's actually a kind of a rarity to have a political figure who has been prominent for a very long time, has a long historical record of being in politics, to be on the same side of the aisle that entire time. Like, there's not a fuck ton of examples of that. So it's so weird to be like, hey, this is the thing I want to see, and you know, strange is coming out of the mouth of a alleged child rapist. But anyways, this alleged child rapist is saying this thing out loud right now, and no squad members are willing to do that. They're not willing to call out both sides of the political aisle. In fact, That's got to be one of the most popular political positions. Honestly, people on both sides do that. I'm a maverick. I don't play by the rules. I want to drain the swamp. I don't care about mainstream politics. I'm an outsider. Listen to me, blah. Could you imagine if the squad had the bravery to do that? Could you imagine if the squad came out and they were like, I'm a maverick. I don't play by the rules. I'm not into the teams.
You mean the stuff that AOC said when she was campaigning?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, that stuff's, that's saying that the Democratic Party is a center-right party. There's a right-wing party. She said it.
Yeah. But she would never say that on the House floor.
No.
Either way, yeah, that's true. The Overton window is so far removed at this point in terms of American politics that it's really hard to determine where people lie on that. But why is this like a gotcha? Why is this the moment where it's like, yeah, she would never say one of the most common and popular political slogans out loud. No, she would never have the bravery. Not like alleged child rapist Matt Gaetz.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And not anymore. Not now. Yeah. And now even look at them. They're all united behind the biggest corporate tool in Congress, which is Hakeem Jeffries next to Nancy Pelosi. So they went from one horrible swamp creature to another horrible swamp creature. And without a fight, without anything, without putting up their own candidate, without doing anything. There's supposed to be 100 members of the Progressive Caucus?
Yeah. That's right. In this round of voting, all the Democrats have voted for Hakeem Jeffries, even though Hakeem Jeffries has campaigned against the squad.
Against them.
He's tried to kick them out of Congress, basically. He's trying to get them voted out.
And he speaks about them the way the Republicans are speaking about Matt Gaetz today.
Yeah, that's right. Here's Lauren Boebert, another member of this rebel coalition.
Let's stop with...
Y'all are calling it the rebel coalition. Holy fuck. All of you went so fast into just being like, nothing these individuals say is objectionable to me in any way, shape, or form. I'm gonna align with this because reasons. We're just, hey, burn it to the ground. This is what we're all about.
The campaign smears and tactics to get people to turn against us, even having my favorite president.
Okay, so this is the crowd that calls everyone that they don't like shit libs. This could not be more shitlibbery. Has to be peak shitlibbery. I'm sorry. All of you are completely fine praising the fucking fascists. Like think about the historical context of this. You're completely fine being like, okay, so Matt Gaetz, alleged pedophile human trafficker, Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, all these motherfuckers, deep anti-Semites, hate Jewish people, hate black people, hate indigenous people, are white supremacists, all that kind of shit. So we're going to basically be like, hey, look how they're holding truth to power. Look how they're actually standing up for what the rebel alliance, if you will. This is pretty incredible to see.
Call us and tell us we need to knock this off. I think it actually needs to be reversed. The president needs to tell Kevin McCarthy that, sir, you do not have the votes and it's time to withdraw. And with that, I yield. Thank you.
What's crazy is he doesn't have the votes, and people are trying to pretend like this is. I saw an article by that Greenfield guy who used to be on Nightline, calling it minority rule. And no, this is literally majority rule. That's why he can't become speaker, because he can't get a majority. That's the whole point of majority rule. And they're trying to pretend that this isn't. This is exactly what this is. This is democracy in action. And this is what's supposed to be happening. Democracy is supposed to be messy. And you're supposed to stand up for what you believe in. You know, we don't have a representative form of government in a sense that in a parliamentary system, here we just have winner take all, right? So if 40% of the country has a certain political view, you don't get any seats. Do you know what I mean? So this is what it's supposed to be. This is what it's supposed to look like. Democracy is supposed to be messy, but
That's such a weird thing to say. Yeah, I know. It's the whole like, this is democracy manifest. Sir, are you trying to touch my penis? This is an old-timey system that still exists today. And again, a lot of the elements of that old-timey system made a lot more sense when it was a bunch of white dudes yelling about the British. That made a lot more sense in terms of like this is the way we should probably organize ourselves in terms of we're doing a colonial project, we're enslaving people, we're also doing some genocide, and so based on that, in terms of just white dudes who rule over this country that we call America, this is the way the system should be. This is it. It's a weird thing, to take that in 2023 and be like, well, it's all about the blood. This is democracy. Right now, and democracy is supposed to be messy. You're supposed to have a whole bunch of people, alleged human traffickers, pedophiles, very avowed anti-Semite. They're supposed to be able to stop the whole system for chaos. That's democracy. That's what democracy was intended to be.
Have a uniparty, and that's what he's actually calling out. That's what Matt Gaetz is actually calling out, and I couldn't believe that I was getting enthusiastic. It was like, oh my God, wouldn't that be? It's great to see someone in power standing on the floor of Congress.
No, you do not need to give it to Matt Gaetz ever for anything. Matt Gaetz, disgusting, deplorable human being. And even if it turns out that he is not actually a child drugging rapist, even if that isn't actually factually true, you still don't need to give it to Matt Gaetz based on the things that Matt Gaetz says out loud on a repeated basis. Just to have a categorically fucking disgusting human being, at no point are you like, okay, now at this point, we've got, it's nice to see, an alleged child rapist, human trafficker, standing up for values and beliefs. I may not agree with all the things that he's alleged to have done, but at the same time, I do respect seeing someone with conviction. That's good.
Congress calling out the uniparty. It's amazing to see, but it's only going to come from the right wing because the left wing are now also right wingers. Right? I mean, what the squad is doing is just nothing but supporting
gibberish, objectively gibberish. The left is the right. The real fascists are the left. What are you saying right now?
Authoritarianism and oligarchy and corporatism. That's what they're.
I learned 3 words. Here we go. Authoritarianism, oligarchy, corporatism.
And they're war pigs on top of it. So the only kind of pushback against the establishment is now coming from the right wing of the Republican Party. Isn't that which is horribly sad?
It's crazy, and you can't even pin this on Trump, as I'm sure many people want to do, because as she talks about there, Lauren Boebert says there, Trump called them and begged them to vote for McCarthy, but they're saying no, and Trump is the leader of their faction.
Right. So Trump sees that this as a loser for him in the election coming up, which it probably is, right? Yeah. And because he already has the people like Matt Gaetz, they already like Donald Trump. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to go get those people. Yeah. He has to go get the never Trumpers.
Here's Matt Gaetz talking more about what he was told behind the scenes.
But we were threatened by my committee chairman to be on the Armed Services Committee, Mr. Rogers, that if we did not vote for Mr. McCarthy, we would be removed from committees. Our position is that if Kevin McCarthy is the Speaker of the House and we don't have an ability to ensure that there is oomph behind the agenda and energy behind our oversight, that the committee assignments don't mean that much anyway. I'm not here to participate in some puppet show where we pass a bunch of messaging bills, send them to the Senate, watch them die, fail to use leverage, and don't hold the Biden administration accountable.
It's so wild. 2023, there's like a failed 80s side character. Yeah. That's the best way I could describe Matt Gaetz. A failed 80s villain working at this level in politics. Absolutely, utterly ridiculous. And still getting platforms, floors, and people, Aaron Matei, people on the clown shoes left. Sorry, I shouldn't quote tweet that. The left. These are the clown shoes left. Venerating it, being like, oh yes, this Matt Gaetz really held truth to power. It's a wonderful moment.
I don't want to relive the Benghazi experience where it's just theater pretending to be oversight. Right? We can do better than that, and that's our purpose today.
They seem sincere.
That's 100% what's happening. You just described what you're doing in real time, and oh my God, set the self-awareness to 0. Aaron Matei, Jimmy Dore, all of you. Well, at least this time it's not theater. At least what they're doing is not at all for self-aggrandizement and to promote their own brands. At least here we have genuine revolution. This is revolution, comrades. Look at the revolution take place.
The thing about these people is they seem sincere, right? Like
They do.
They don't seem like they're actually. Well, they're not doing it at.
This is revolution, comrades. You were seeing it before you. Yes. Where were you when it started?
The behest of a corporation, because the corporation wants McCarthy to become speaker, just like the corporation wanted Nancy Pelosi to become speaker. So I think they act.
Honestly, this is like the brain rot you get when like your only, I would say, analysis of anything is America bad. Like my understanding of global politics, geopolitics, the world as it stands, economic systems, history, everything, racism, you name it, America bad. That like America bad, and then I'm going to basically extrapolate from therein. Yeah. So no one was bad before America. No one will be bad after America, and nothing bad will happen as long as America ceases to exist. That's it.
Actually are sincere. What do you think?
They sound sincere to me too. I mean, I don't know what's in their head, but this looks like a genuine revolt. I mean, this has gone through 6 rounds of voting now. All the pressure in the world, including from their guy, Donald Trump, and they're still
written off the hook, finally
holding resilience. So yeah, that speaks to me that they're being serious here. And what he says there about we don't care about committee seats. One of the reasons why I think the squad caved to Pelosi back then is because they were maybe dangle some, or they thought they could get some committee seats, but they couldn't even get that.
They took their committee seats away. Even after they voted for Nancy Pelosi, they got less than nothing. They got negative demands.
You were fighting for nothing. A ceremonial vote. Like, there's no point.
Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Juste, we shall spend many a generations building mighty cathedrals in your honor. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your oafish jesters, here to offer you a laugh at any opportunity. To our brave knights of the Round Table, Rachel K., Izzy Solidarity, Victoria Bell, Sebastian Demmel, Mark Harmon, Benji Arney, Scary Earth Human, Tony, DM Rivera, Resident Scarecrow, Sir Nickus, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Brandon, Words Greenwood, Everything Important, Hegbert Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Doug Cady, Daniel Sutton, Jenna Tao, Dark Puppy, Quiet One 85, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, Multimondi, Trevbot EXE, Brian Ephraim, Anthropophojack, Catherine, Ramon Acosta, Incosin, Ralph Parler, Violent Orchard, Political Puppy, La Media Panza, Todd Buckingham, and Todd La Jeunesse. We salute our valiant heroes off to fight injustice everywhere.